Um, well, obviously we got a big week. We went through a lot of stuff yesterday. Watched tape on Kansas yesterday, and then we got on the floor and just kind of reviewed, what we want, how we want to attack Baylor a little bit, and how we need to defend Baylor. Showed the guys some tape, and we lifted and shot, and then we practiced here in a little bit, and then we got to head over to Waco. Obviously Scott's done a terrific job there, over a long period of time. They bring a lot of challenges with their physicality and size up front. Tremendous rebounding team. That's going to be a huge key to the game, and obviously there's going to be a lot of first time for our guys, trying to attack their zone and making good decisions. And then obviously it's another road game in conference play, and so we got to be dialed in and focused.
For your guys' defense, I think you've got good individual defenders, but it seems like the whole is greater than the sum of the parts to some degree. Do you see that where the guys just work better together than individually maybe?
Yeah, I think so, because I think the hardest thing to do in basketball really is two things. Guard the ball is number one. I mean, it is hard to guard the basketball when you're playing against good guards, especially at this level. Number two, ball screen defense is incredibly hard, and then guarding one-on-one and post is tough. But guarding the ball is tough, and so you need teammates, you need help. I think our length helps, our ability to switch at times helps, keep people in front. And then I think we've got some guys that have pretty good basketball savviness and toughness. We continue to try to grow our toughness to where we can be active. And so, but, as good as you think you are, you can go back and look how we played defense against Iowa. So you got to just figure out ways we got to continue to grow and get better.
Steve, did you envision when you brought in Mario Shayak? I know you thought he could play offense. Did you envision a guy who could lead the Big 12 this fall?
I had really honestly never thought about it, to be honest. I just knew we were going to get a really good player from a elite program that was really well coached on both ends of the floor. Played for one of the best coaches in the country, and a top, really a legit top 5-10 program over the last several years. A guy that knows about winning, knows how things are supposed to be done the right way. He's already been in the gym shooting this morning, on his own. That's just who he is. And so it's an everyday habit for him, and so he's being rewarded for that. But the deeper you go into conference play, the more efficient he's going to have to be for us. But he can score in a couple different ways. Transition from three, off pull-ups, attacking the basket a little bit. But defensively, he's got good length, and size. But I really never thought about that. I was just glad we had a good player sitting out.
How will your guys, or how do you expect them to react to the increased attention and expectations that Saturday seems to have brought?
We already talked about that. Talked about that yesterday. Talked about it a little bit in the locker room after the game. We finished the first week of the regular season. It's game 2, and so they all count the same. We need to play with the same focus and effort like everybody's Kansas, because they're all Kansas. They all count the same. And so, we talked about it yesterday again, and it's something you got to preach every day. But there's some things that, when you start having a little bit of success and you start getting a little bit of a good outside noise, there's always outside noise. It could be good, bad, or just outside noise that's just really just scuttling up all your thoughts, whether it's good or bad. But there's some things that I, over my career and as an assistant head coach, that you go to make sure guys are humble and make sure they understand that you can't get out of your character, and that we've got 9 more weeks of regular season basketball.
Across the league, and starting to scout, but also back to non-conference, have you seen an increase of defense this year? Texas Tech, you guys, Kansas, all top 25 efficiency, and I think some other teams are up there.
Yeah, I talked to our guys about that. I look at that Ken Prohm and the NAT rankings and the BPI all the time, but obviously Ken Prohm kind of breaks down the offensive and defense, and how they break it down, I got no idea. I just look at it just to see, hey, what number are we? I figure if you're high, you're probably doing something decent. And so, but at one point when I thought we were really regressing defensively, I read off the the top 7 defensive teams in our league, and it was like Tech 1, and I'm going to mess this up, but it's like Tech 1, Kansas 3, Texas 5, TCU 9. I'm mixing up some teams, and then it was like, guys, now we're 42. So we may be 18 in offense or 20 in offense, but you're going to play against these teams defensively, so you better get better defensively if you're going to be good. And so, but Texas Tech's probably, right now I would think the best defensive team in our league today. I mean, Chris has done a tremendous job down there, but Kansas is always going to be top 10. I mean, that's what they're about. And I mean, you can go down the line. Texas, Shaka's teams have always been tremendous. They always had great room presence and athletic guards, keep the ball in front. And so, but West Virginia, and you go down the line.
What's your guys's or your strategy or philosophy or message to the guys about using their hands defensively? Like, is there a fine line to be overactive hands? Does that seem to be a major boon for you guys on Saturday?
Yeah, I think I worked for a really, really good defensive coach and Coach Kennedy, and we were really around some really good defensive teams, and he really always kind of preached about hands off, show hands, gap, be able to kind of show you're in passing lanes and bluff, get back. And what's happened now though is we got some more length. You got Marielle and Nick and Tyrese and Talon that have really, really good length, and obviously Cameron's got great size and athleticism around the basket. But I think that helps. Deflections helps. Some of the turnovers were called, and then some of the turnovers, when you go back and watch the tape, it was just kind of sometimes it's poor offense, and you kind of get lucky. But it's something we talk about all the time. Is just we got to be great with our hands and always show your hands to where they know you're not fouling, and you're always coming up at the ball instead of down, and just little things. But we got to continue to be active.
You mentioned the Baylor's zone. What goes into helping those guys who haven't seen that before prepare them for that?
Well, the good thing is I think we got some guys with some good basketball IQ. You can run whatever you want to run, but it's, like you just go back to some teams we've had, like with Niang and Burton. You just kind of say, hey, you play in a high post and kind of find the open area, and they just kind of find their way. You just kind of put them in those spots. But, we showed tape of, good offense, the opportunities we want to look for. And, we repped some yesterday. We'll rep some today. We'll rep some tomorrow. Continue to show them tape over the next couple of days of, where we want to try to attack and how we want to attack. And then they got to go play. And it may take us like the Kansas game yesterday. I mean, Saturday, both teams were kind of like, it was kind of a nasty game for the first half. Both teams kind of missing shots, turning it over, and then the pace got better as we went. And that may be the same thing on Tuesday night, is just trying to get a feel and understanding, okay, this is where I need to be. This is how we need to attack it.
How does the maturity level of your freshman players continue to impress you? When guys like, for instance, Talon struggles a bit offensively, picks it up on the defensive end, stays consistent there. That seems to be a veteran type of, maneuver.
Yeah, well, it's great. Talon the other night, I don't know what he was offensively from the field, but 5 assists, no turnovers. I mean, that's a terrific floor game for a freshman in a big game. Tyrese played well, and I've got a lot of confidence in George Conant. If we had to throw him in a game, he's kind of not gotten in there lately just because, we've gotten some guys back, and Cameron's kind of back playing the way I think he needs to play. And, in Zion, like you watch him, every time I've thrown him in, he's played with really, really good energy. And so, I like all 4 of our freshmen a lot. Obviously, we've got 2 playing a lot right now. But they're both really humble kids. Like Tyrese has already been in the gym. I think Talon was in the gym when I left. He was down there getting some shots up. And so I think that's the biggest thing we've taken a big step in. Win, lose, or draw is that, I go back to, and I credit Fred for this. He had a really good NBA mentality here of guys understanding, hey, how hard you have to work, not just within the confines of the practice, but how hard you have to work on your own at this level. And I think we lost that last year, when we lost so much experience and maturity. And we kind of had to reteach that. And I think we're getting to a good place in that area, and that's important.
We'll take one more.
What's Lindell playing 17 minutes on Saturday? What do you envision for him going forward? Is it just going to be produce and you play more, or do you want to get him on the floor more? What's the situation there, I guess?
Yeah, me and him met yesterday and talked, and we had a really good talk, and I love him, and he's a huge impact. We don't win at Oklahoma State if he doesn't play. That's just the reality. He made big plays for us in the second half in the Kansas game. I was showing him, subbed him in at about the 14.5-minute mark in the first half. In these games, man, there's not many whistles called. That's just kind of, you just play, which is great. But the ball didn't stop till 11.5. So, you know what I mean? There's 3 minutes there, and then, you're probably going to sub him back in after he comes out in the second half, and now you're to the 4-minute media. But do you really think you're going to be up 15 against Kansas with 3 minutes to go? I mean, probably not, So do I throw him back in there? No, let's probably get these other guys back in there. So I think there was some things that played into that. I mean, if you're going to really stay true to a 4-guard lineup and you got 5 perimeter guys that today you feel really good about, that's about 32 minutes a game, And so I think they're all going to get their fair share of minutes. And then some days, obviously, you're going to ride the hot hand, And he's going to have great games for us down the road. There's no question about that. Like I said, Oklahoma State, I thought offensively he was terrific.